how in the world does $4.5 million get sent from Shohei Ohtani's account to the bookmaker? That's basically what it comes down to. And why was it done and who did it? And those are the simple questions. MLB now has launched an investigation. They told me last week that they weren't going to do this until the authorities were looking into it. Then I'm thinking, what authorities are actually looking into this? And right now, the only set of authorities that seem to be looking into it happens to be the IRS.
What about the FBI? Did they get involved yet?
I haven't.
They throw their hat in the ring?
I haven't seen any of that. It's basically been a media story. It's come out of the LA Times. Obviously, ESPN had their version of it. There are a lot of conflicting stories that had come out of it last week. Mizuhara, the interpreter, basically gave you his version to ESPN, and then Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers gave you their version. And it wasn't until after, if you told me, and I said this last week, I'll say it again, if you told me that Shohei realized that his friend had a bad gambling problem and he obviously has the money to help him get out of it, I could buy that. I could legitimately buy that. But when these stories started to change, that basically, I think, piqued everybody's interest out there as to whether or not Shohei Ohtani was the one making the bets through Mizuhara. Because as we all know, in the world of bookmaking, illegal bookmaking, there is no way that a bookie is taking money from somebody like Mizuhara unless that bookie knows that Shohei Ohtani is backing him or it's Shohei Ohtani that's actually making the bets.
Right, because we're talking about $4.5 million, right. And these bets obviously were gigantic bets. This was not a $10 same-game parlay that you're going to sit around and watch the NCAA tournament. This was massive stuff. So, yeah, the most reasonable explanation is the fact that this is Shohei Ohtani's friend, and he got himself into some trouble, and he went to the guy who has the most money in his life and said, could you bail me out? However, you're right. The red flags come up when he stole this money from Shohei Ohtani. Now, did the Ohtani camp and lawyers come together and say, for the sake of PR here, and they'll never be able to prove this. We'll say that he stole the money to get you even farther away from this. Was that their plan? Because if that was their plan, that's stupid. Because all that did was make more people interested in Shohei Ohtani's role in this. And if I'm Shohei Ohtani today, if it is the truth that he had to just bail his buddy out, I'd say it. I'd say, listen, he got himself in some trouble. I had to bail him out. We didn't want this to come out. I didn't bet on baseball. He didn't bet on baseball. And now we're in this situation. And then this whole thing goes away. At that point, for Shohei Ohtani, it does.
I don't necessarily know that it goes away because I do think that Major League Baseball has got to be really look deep into this and just to make sure that everything is as clear as we think it's going to be when Ohtani speaks today to the media. So whether or not he is even going to say anything about this or he's been advised not to say anything about it, that's going to be the interesting part of all of this. And I just, there's too much like smoke here. You know what I mean? Like you got to be born yesterday not to understand what is going on here and the amount of money that we're talking about. Like I know if $450 is being transferred.
Yeah.
Let alone $4.5 million is being transferred.
Yeah.
And is there a translation issue here or something? Not understanding exactly what went on. I don't know, but I do know this, that Major League Baseball has got to thoroughly investigate this and make sure that the integrity of the game is in no way, shape, or form put in jeopardy, meaning that they have to find out whether or not this was actually Mizuhara. Now what you're also seeing over the weekend are all these cracks in the Mizuhara reputation, resume.
Yeah.
And
he's like George Santos of Japan.
Yes, exactly.
Like everything that he said he did not do.
Right, exactly. So I don't know, man. I still think obviously we're still in the beginning throes of this, and I don't necessarily know that we'll know anything after today unless Shohei Ohtani basically says what you said that he should say. And if he does say that, then Major League Baseball at least has a starting point. But there's still too many questions out there that we don't know that basically still have question marks surrounding Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, and I guess the only thing that really matters or should really matter to Major League Baseball. Is Shohei Ohtani somehow involved in changing the outcomes of games due to bets that he placed or his interpreter placed? Or is he giving some sort of inside information about maybe an opponent or something that's going on in the game that only he would know to be able to win a bet? Outside of that, like if you were to tell me that it was Ohtani that was betting $2 million on a football game, let's say, or $100,000 on a coin flip for the Super Bowl, I wouldn't care. Like, that's his problem. He's going to get to figure it out, and a gambling problem.
Hell,
and those
Floyd
are big
Mayweather
issues.
Does it.
What's that?
Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, right. Dave Portnoy does it.
Yes.
He puts that out there all the time. I wouldn't care about that. I mean, Major League Baseball shouldn't care about that either. The only thing that really matters to them is Shohei Ohtani using the power that he has in Major League Baseball, which he is the single biggest force that the game has right now, to fix games and or use the information that he has gathered to gain an edge. That's real in baseball. But if they didn't make any baseball bets, it's nothing.
It's nothing. It should be nothing unless there's a lot of money being transferred, and the IRS doesn't like that.
Well, yeah. But
the other aspect of all this thing, remember, there are basically 3 penalties that Shohei Ohtani could run into. One would be if he did bet on a baseball game in which he played in, he would be suspended for life. If he bet on a baseball game that he did not play in, he would be suspended for a year. And then if he did bet with an illegal bookie, there is a very good chance here that Rob Manfred would fine him a significant amount. And then if he could suspend him, but he probably won't. And 2015, there was Jared Cosart, had kind of a very similar situation, and they fined him and they moved on.
Yeah, and I do think that in this world where you're talking about illegal bookies and bets and big money, there's going to be a lot of people sniffing around this thing. Obviously, traditional media, then there's going to be people who want to break the story on social media. They'll find whoever that bookie is. And that guy,
they have him.
Right. So, like, is he going to talk or not, really, is what is.
Well, everything that he has said through his attorney thus far has said that Shohei Ohtani did not make any bets with him, and the bets that he was taking were not on baseball. That's everything that the attorney for the bookie has said thus far.
So I missed that while I was away. I did not see him speak.
That came out over the weekend.
All right. So so that part is what I would have worried about one of those
But the other thing about the bookie, though, is the bookie did know that Mizuhara was the interpreter for Shohei Ohtani.
Well, he would have to because of the money, right?
And supposedly within his inner circle of gambling out there in California,
right?
He was known to have said that he's handling bets for Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah. It's definitely murky right now.
How it is like leech spot. This is like the ultimate leech spot, because if in fact Mizuhara was using Ohtani to be able to bet that kind of money with the bookie, because the bookie knew who Mizuhara and Ohtani were in terms of their relationship. Yeah, that's a leech spot.
Oh, that's 100% a leech spot.
No, it's a huge leech spot.
I mean, that's as big of a leech spot as there is. I mean, seriously, to be able to, of all the things you could leech off of in that situation, like money to just, piss away essentially gambling, like, come on. Do something else with that money, man.
Yeah, but he's got a problem.
Shohei Ohtani's your buddy, and you could get $4.5 million from him. Go buy a house somewhere,
dude. He's got a problem.
Put it on the Rangers and Capitals.
Well, we've all seen that what a real issue like this can do to somebody.
Yeah,
and we lived it.
Yeah,
maybe not to this extent, or maybe in some respects it was to this extent. And by the way, Craig Carton last week said on his show that this is open Pandora's box. In terms of, I'm assuming in terms of Shohei Ohtani's life, like now everybody's going to start looking at it, and everybody's going to want to know whether or not he was involved, and that's about ready to begin.
Oh, sure, of course, and I know that Major League Baseball is the last thing they want as they head into opening day is for this to be the biggest story that they have. So it is. Here's
the deal. We sat here in 2017, and we had no idea what was going on. Like nobody, I wouldn't be surprised if nobody in that Dodger locker room knew what was going on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and apparently he's only talked to just a couple of people in the clubhouse over the last few days and told him his side of the story, but he hasn't addressed the entire team yet, and people expect that his words today, most of the team is going to hear for the first time on this. But, I mean, Craig never went and asked you for a ton of money.
Never asked me for anything.
So
matter of fact, he kept us all out of it.
Right.
He may have asked Al for $10 or something. I don't know. I can't speak for Al.
No, never asked me for cash.
Eddie, did he ask you for cash? You got a wealth management company.
He didn't at the time, though. You got to remember that. Eddie at the time did not have his wealth partner.
That was kind of interesting. Now all of a sudden you have wealth partners after all that went down.
I had them.
Are you the Mizuhara in the story or no?
You never know.
Yeah, but this is definitely something that is as big of a deal as you can have in pro sports when it comes to this type of thing, because it is the star and the thing that everybody like. If you there's
what this kind of reminds me of?
There's been what?
Like if Jackson Mahomes got himself caught up into something and Patrick had to step up and help him out.
Well, I think he already did. I think that did happen. Because
that was a different story. That wasn't gambling.
It wasn't gambling, but Jackson Mahomes did have that sexual assault allegation. There was a video of him force kissing a woman, and all of a sudden she didn't show up to court to testify.
So somebody got paid off.
You could draw that conclusion logically.
Yeah, of course you could.
So, but yeah, this is. But when it comes to the integrity, like we've seen horrible things happen. We've seen the Aaron Hernandez story. We've seen domestic violence stuff. Of all the things, the leagues can put that aside and say, all right, that player did this isolated thing, whatever. But when it comes to gambling in the leagues, and if the fans have any sort of thought in their brain that things aren't on the up and up.
Well, there are people that do question refereeing and they question conspiracy theories, and there is that group of people. It's not a very large group of people, but it is a very loud group of people.
But that's the worst thing for a league to deal with. If you were to ask any commissioner, what's the thing you don't want to have on your desk 4 days before the season starts?
A gambling problem.
Yeah. A gambling issue that is calling into the integrity of the game. Now, it may end up being nothing. It really, I mean, there's a good chance that Shohei Ohtani was not betting on anything, was just bailing his friend out. It very well could be that. And he better hope that the evidence leads to that. But if it doesn't, and he is heavily involved in this, I mean, that's like the absolute Rob Manfred's worst nightmare.
But here's my thing. You cannot tell me that he did not know that $4.5 million was being transferred to this particular book. You just can't tell me
there's
that.
No way he's stealing that.
And according to the initial story from Ippei Mizhuara, it was basically sitting in front of the Shohei Ohtani's computer and sending the money.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, so you can't. I mean, he knows exactly what he was doing. Now, why he was doing it, that is the question. Was he doing it because he was betting through Mizuhara, or part of the bets were part of his and Mizuhara's bets? Or was it specifically to help Mizuhara get out of the trouble that he had gotten himself in?
I guess he doesn't have those Chase fraud alerts like I have on my phone. Like anytime I try to book a vacation or something, the card won't work, and then I get a text right away.
Yeah.
Fraud. Did you try to do this? You try to do that, or you end up going to a different city, or the first thing I try to buy in Vegas, someone's like, is this you? Is this you? $4.5 million just gets transferred out of a bank account. You're telling me that he has no idea about it?
Hence why the IRS is involved.
Yeah, of course. But they're the first to show up in situations like this.
Well, I mean, this bookie must be in some sort of trouble, because he does have a lawyer that is representing him, speaking for him, and somebody's got to be investigating him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he may be in more trouble than Ohtani and Mizuhara are.
Yeah, and he probably is. I would think at this point with the way that this has gone. So it'll be interesting to see what he says. So I would go with, I have never bet on baseball. I don't make bets. I have not gambled. Well, maybe he has gambled, but just make it clear that I've never bet on baseball at all. Never done that. You're not going to be able to prove that because I've never done it. And this guy was in trouble. And when I said he stole the money, that was a mistake. I had to bail him out. I was trying to get the heat off of me, but I tried to bail him out. I needed to bail him out because he was in big trouble and he was my friend.
The other thing that Mizuhara did make clear towards the end of the week was, number one, he never bet on baseball. Number two, Shohei Ohtani hates gambling, never went to a casino when they go on the road, and there are casinos that guys like to go to.
Yeah.
He never went to any casino, never did any of that, never hung out. I mean, he went to great lengths to either give Shohei Ohtani an out or was just actually telling the truth, and that like he did not want to bet. So it's going to be interesting to see what Shohei Ohtani says today and how it's framed, and whether or not, Mizuhara is somebody who stole $4.5 million, or was it a buddy that was helping somebody cover their debts and give them a little bit of a breather, because they have been together since Shohei Ohtani showed up with the Angels.
Yeah.
So they do have like a 10-year relationship.
Yeah, he's a flunky. He's like if I were to bring Frenchie around everywhere where I went,
Yeah.
Sort of like that. Guy I've known forever, Belfort High School.
Yes.
Embarrasses himself in public, drinks too much in front of you.
That would be Frenchie, yes.
Yeah, like that. That would be...
That'd be your Frenchie.
What's that?
That would be your Frenchie is your Mizuhara.
Right, exactly. He's my Ippei Mizhuara.
Right. If you said to him, hey, go to Jake's 58 and drop $100K on the Mets and the Yankees.
Yeah.
And then, came back later and you found out that he really didn't put $100K down. He ended up putting down $250K, figuring that the bet was a slam dunk and that you would end up covering it.
Right. I
don't know if you could do that at Jake's 58. Can you do that?
No, I don't think you put $150,000 on it.
But there's got to be some sort of bookie hanging around over there.
Yeah, in the parking lot probably.
Somewhere.
Under a lamppost. Some greaseball.